was wearing a dark or black coloured beanie hat with what looks like an orange logo on it, a dark grey jacket, light grey bottoms, carrying some kind of grey bags of light and black trainers.
100%. I don't appreciate that. All we've had is information passed to us from us investigating a serious matter. Under arrest for the meantime, okay? Suspicion of murder for instance occurred in Salford, alright?
In April 2024, Salford became the centre of one of the most disturbing murder investigations Britain has ever seen. A torso wrapped tightly in cling film was found inside an abandoned bunker in Kersal Dale. The discovery was so shocking, it spread far beyond Greater Manchester. Within hours, the story had gone viral. Headlines, TikTok, and speculation.
Residents in Salford are calling what's happened in the area like something out of a horror film. Human remains have been found in 3 locations across Salford, which started when a headless torso was discovered in the area.
So Murder Probe cops give a major update on headless human torso found wrapped in plastic, with person deceased only for a matter of days.
The entire country wanted to know what had happened. But this wasn't just a headline. It was a violent end to a man's life. And the beginning of one of the darkest cases Salford has ever known. On the 4th of April, a passerby was walking through the wetlands and stumbled across something they weren't meant to see. Inside the forgotten concrete bunker, half hidden by nature, lay a man's torso. The scene was immediately sealed off. For nearly 2 weeks, by the end of April, police confirmed the victim's identity. 67-year-old Stuart Everett. A man until that moment had never even been reported missing. Forensic work later would show that his skull had been shattered by blunt trauma, and after his death, his body was cut apart with a hacksaw. But what made this case even more horrifying was the scale. This wasn't just one discovery in one place. Over the weeks that followed, searchers across Greater Manchester uncovered body parts scattered across multiple sites. From reservoirs to woodlands, police discovered only fragments. In total, investigators believe they've recovered 30% of Stuart's remains, and the rest, 70% of a man's body, is still missing. Maybe buried, maybe lost to water, or maybe hidden, waiting to be found. Eventually the trail led back to one man, 42-year-old Marcin Majurkovic, Stuart's housemate. After killing him, Majurkovic didn't simply try to hide the body, he tried to erase Stuart altogether. He sent text messages from his phone. He used his bank cards. He even sent birthday cards and gifts to Stuart's family, pretending he was still alive. But the CCTV and forensic evidence from those grisly discoveries across Salford exposed the truth, and in March 2025, Majurkovic was found guilty of murder, and he'll serve a minimum of 34 years behind bars. This case captured national attention, not just because of its brutality, but because of its mystery. Why dismember someone in this way? Why scatter the remains across many sites? And why even now are huge parts of Stuart Everett's body still missing? For Salford, these woods and waters will never look the same, and for Stuart's family, there's no closure, only the knowledge that the much loved one was never brought home.
Right, so where I'm stood now, this is where the investigation where the police did their investigation, and they cornered all this section off. So the footage that you see online, and you know that the sort of MEN and the BBC sort of documented, this is where we are now. This is where it all happened, and I believe he got off the bus stop here, at this very bus stop. Now he would have made his way down this path here with the bag, and then into the bunker, which we're going to go and visit now. So yeah, he would have come all the way down here with parts of Stuart in the actual bag. So this too was also a pivotal point where the police did their investigation, and they basically conducted it from this signpost here that has got Kersal Dale on it, and then he would have literally, Majerkovic would have literally walked these very steps that I'm walking now with his apparent friend in a big heavy bag. But right here in these woods, just over a year ago, this is where Salford became the centre of a national horror story. You know, walking these same paths, a passerby stumbled across an old bunker, but inside, you know, it was a sight of unimaginable horror. And you know, the discovery of a torso, a male torso, was wrapped in cling film. And nearly 4 weeks, you know, an investigation went on for nearly 4 weeks at this very place that I am at now. It was sealed off tight, and the forensic search teams, you know, they swarmed through all the undergrowth, all this section that you can see now. They basically, with a fine-tooth comb, scoured this area, and that sort of very haunting looking bunker is where part of Stuart's body was found. It's very, very, very sad. You know, this was an apparent friend of Stuart that did this. You know, he actually, from the goodness of his heart, took him in, helped him out, you know, did a lot of things for him. But even just walking up to this now is actually making my stomach turn, because nobody should be left in an area like this. No one should have had to have suffered the way that Stuart did. You know, you've got to be a real sick, twisted individual. And there is all sorts in this bit, so I have to be careful where I'm stepping. But it's just an horrific place to be. This is very, you know, it's super, super horrible to think that there was body parts literally right where I'm stood now. And only 30% of Stuart's body has ever been recovered. So there's 70% of him missing. And still, nobody knows where it is. Sorry, it's really, really heavy in here. This is not a nice place to be. I mean, I presume these were old bunkers of some sort, going back to possibly the war. I could be wrong. Maybe for the houses that are behind here. But yeah, this is the scene of the crime, basically. And this is the location that shook not just Salford, but the nation to the actual core. You know, it's really sort of sickening to know that poor Stuart was, you know, attacked in his own home after being such a good friend to someone who really needed a friend at the time. And, you know, it's sickening to know that he was not just killed brutally in his own home, in the absolute worst way possible, but the fact that he was discarded like trash, basically, in places like this behind me. And it's sickening to think, you know, someone was comfortable in their own home and had nice little things around them and had the comfort of their house, you know, slept in a comfy bed every night, to then being chopped up and basically left to rot in such a dark, dark place. I mean, that's how I think. My head sort of thinks, like, you know, there was a point in time where he was really comfortable in his house, and how can you go from having like feeling nice in your own home to then one day, you know, you're going to be discarded in a place like this. It's sickening to think. And, you know, like I said to you, he really helped Jerkovic out over the years, and the fact that he got in financial trouble, he saw Stuart as a way out. I think he was in debt up to 70 grand, but you know, he took the most brutal and horrible way to, you know, rather than just say, look, you know, maybe someone could have helped him, maybe people will have understood and something could have been settled for him. He thought, I'll kill him and I'll take his money, you know, that he's earned all his life. The guy who's put me up in his own house and fed me and been a friend. You know, he don't even deserve to be here himself. I know that people will say, you know, oh, he's going to rot the rest of his life in prison, but people like that, to me, that are just cold-blooded killers with no remorse and they shouldn't be on this earth. The earth would be a better place without people like him even breathing the same air as us. And the fact that he posed as him for a few days, you know, he was texting his family as Stuart, once Stuart had died. He was texting his family as him. He was ordering food. You know, he transferred all the money into his account, was using his account and stuff, and using it for just pleasure, you know. And there was no remorse, even when you watch the footage. It infuriates me looking at his face, because he's just a blatant cold killer, and you can see it in his eyes. His eyes are black, you know. He's a cold killer, and he had a fixation apparently on horror films and dark, disturbing old horror films. He was a massive fan of Jason and stuff from Friday the 13th. He had tattoos up his arm and all that about it, but he must have been in such a, you know, it's just a dark frame of mind to actually bludgeon someone to death in their own home. Basically, I don't even want to go into too much detail about it, but he basically battered him blow after blow to the head, and then, you know, froze part of him and chopped him up and basically discarded him all around Salford in different parts, and dragging him on the bus. And someone like that should not be on this earth. The earth is a better place without him. But yeah, we're going to move from this location now. But this, where I am now, this is basically the centre of the crime scene where it all unfolded, and it went nationwide. It was a viral sort of story, if you want to call it that, to cover. But I don't think we should forget that the core of this isn't about the murder. It's about a man whose family are absolutely distraught. You know, he was the victim in all this, and he was a kind, innocent man, and he should still be here today. And it should be that other piece of shit, shouldn't be. So yeah, we're going to move on now.
Stuart's remains were scattered across Salford like pieces of a grim puzzle. Kersal Dale, Blackleach Reservoir, quiet streets. Each discovery dragged the investigation into a new place, pulling police and the public deeper into horror. When you step back and trace those locations on the map, it becomes clear this wasn't just random. This was calculated and terrifying in its reach. It wasn't a panicked attempt to hide a crime. It was something far darker. The killer cut Everett's body into dozens of pieces, wrapped them, transported them, and then with precision, scattered them across the entire city. This was organised, methodical, a cold operation carried out in silence, whilst life in Salford carried on just meters away. It takes a certain kind of mind to do this, to reduce a person into fragments, to see human life as something that can be cut apart. The physical work is brutal enough, but the mental detachment must have taken something almost impossible to imagine. And this is the part that lingers. Because if someone can do this, calmly and quietly, without being seen, it leaves you wondering, What else can hide in plain sight? These are ordinary places. Streets that look familiar. But once you know the story, they feel totally different. And that's the unsettling thought. Even now, even as life goes on around us, some of Stuart's body is still out there. Hidden. Waiting. And possibly never to be found.
Right, so I'm on the other side now. We've just been filming in these woods here, and we're on the wetlands now. And another pivotal part to this story and the police investigation was the other body part that they discovered, which was Stuart's actual head. And the weapon that was used to dismember him was a hacksaw. Now, they found both of these, which basically just incriminated the killer even more. You know, they had him anyway, but this just sort of put the nail in the coffin. And, you know, there was no way out for him after this. Now, like I've already said, like a couple of times already, there is 70% of Stuart still out there. Possibly, you know, close to where I am now, maybe, who knows. But my sort of overwhelming feeling that they've obviously found parts of him, but where's the rest? And I've just got this sort of feeling in the back of my mind that this whole stretch is surrounded by the River Irwell. And I've just got this sort of feeling in my stomach that maybe there's a good possibility that he is actually in the Irwell, somewhere within the Irwell. And I know that the police did scan it and did what they did, but sometimes they do miss things, you know. Remember the case of Nicola Buller, and, you know, her body weren't there, and then upon review, they went back to the site and she was there. So, you know, who knows, maybe they did miss it. But I don't want to refer to Stuart as like a statistic, because it's not right. You know, he's a person that is missing still very much. He's not a statistic to his family. He's a person that they love deeply, you know, and nothing will ever bring back or replace or give the family any sort of peace, purely because of the way that he was taken from this world. Nobody in my eyes should ever have to die like that, especially someone, by all accounts, was such a decent person, a decent human being. So, yeah, it's one of them. It's a bit of an head scratcher, and maybe down the line somewhere, they will find parts of him. Maybe, you know, just for the peace of mind of the family, I'd like him to be fully recovered, so they can sort of have him to themselves then. But yeah, maybe somewhere down the line, maybe in the near future or in the next few years, they will find the rest of his body. But yeah, so basically this whole area of the wetlands was also searched by the police. And I've just got this sneaky feeling that the river is so vast and so big, the Irwell is absolutely huge, and it snakes round this whole area like a big massive snake and then straight through. It's too big of a stretch, you know. He could be washed up down. There's like a way further down there. Who knows? But yeah, I'm going to sort of leave this one here. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for sticking with me with this one. When I found out about this story, you know, it was so close to home, so close to where I grew up, and obviously know these sort of areas quite well. And it sort of shook me, you know, to the core that this actually happened. It was like, it's something that you read about on the TV and don't actually think it's in your hometown. It's so sad. But I know it's been a very dark one, this, so thank you for sticking with me. And, you know, it'd be much appreciated if you like true crime and you found this story. I'm not going to say that you like this video by any means, but if it sort of interests you, It'd be much appreciated if you head over to the channel. There is stories similar to this, similar in nature, and there's plenty of content on there. So if you would subscribe to the channel, it would mean the world to me. And if you know anybody that might find this video interesting, then, you know, it'd be much appreciated if you would share. And, you know, hopefully one day Stuart will be fully found and sort of give his family a bit of peace of mind knowing that they've got him, like, and they can remember him the way they want to remember him. So I'm going to leave it here, everyone. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, see you all soon. Cheers.